In a small American town, there lived a man named Michael, a dedicated and hardworking father. Michael was a simple man who devoted his hours to work and his nights to his wife, Sarah, and their little son Jack, who was only 6 years old. The family seemed perfect, one of those that all the neighbors admire and approach for a friendly word or occasional help. However, life brought a storm that would change everything for Michael. One day, Jack began to show symptoms of a mysterious illness. At first, it was just minor fevers, which he and Sarah faced with some calm, believing it to be something temporary. But as the weeks went by, the symptoms worsened. Jack felt intense pain, and his once contagious energy gave way to a fatigue that deeply worried his parents. After a series of tests and medical consultations, the confirmation came. Jack was sick with a serious and rare condition. The doctors were unsure of the exact treatment, only that it would be long, exhausting, and expensive. Michael and Sarah were devastated, but initially tried to support each other. Their routine changed completely, and the couple began to divide their time between trips to the hospital and hours of anguish by little Jack's bedside. However, the pressure of dealing with Jack's illness and the financial costs began to strain the relationship between Michael and Sarah. The once affectionate and loving conversations gave way to arguments, often whispered in the hospital corridor or in the silences of the night. When each felt the weight of their difficulties, Sarah, increasingly worn out, began to withdraw. She blamed the situation for ruining the life they had built, and in her despair, believed they might never escape that situation. Until one day, Sarah announced that she could no longer bear it. She felt trapped, consumed by fear and pain. "I can't live like this anymore, Michael," she said, her eyes filled with tears, but cold in a way Michael had never seen before. She decided she needed to leave, to find peace away from the pain that seemed to suffocate her. And so one night, she packed her bags and left the house, leaving Michael alone with Jack. Michael was devastated. His heart was broken and confused. He had lost his wife and, at the same time, feared for his son's life. He knew Jack needed him now more than ever. But how would he be able to support the household, take care of medical expenses, and at the same time be the present father that Jack deserved? The days following Sarah's departure were lonely and difficult. Michael, unable to concentrate properly, ended up losing his job. The boss, who had once been understanding, decided he could no longer keep an employee who was inevitably often out caring for his son. Suddenly, Michael was without his wife, without a job, and still carrying the responsibility of caring for Jack. In that moment of despair, Michael decided to do something he hadn't done in a long time. He fell to his knees and prayed. He remembered his mother's words from when he was a child, saying that God would never forsake those who kept the faith. He prayed with a broken heart, asking for strength to continue, to endure the pain, and to find a way out. And so from that day on, praying became part of Michael's routine. He began each morning with a prayer, sought guidance before every decision, and at night he would sit by Jack's side and offer a silent prayer, pleading for the boy's healing. As the months passed, Michael's faith grew stronger, even amidst the difficulties. He continued to dedicate himself to Jack with all the love and patience he had, supported by the hope that his daily prayers brought. His routine was exhausting, but Michael found small ways to rise again, taking on temporary jobs to keep the house and cover Jack's medical expenses. It was during one of these jobs at a café in the downtown area that he met Emily. She was a caring woman with a gentle spirit who noticed Michael's exhausted and sad gaze during one of his visits to the café. Emily, who had also faced difficulties in the past, seemed to have a sixth sense for sensing others' pain. One afternoon, while Michael was serving her table, she invited him to sit for a few minutes. At first he hesitated, but feeling surprisingly comfortable, he ended up accepting the invitation. The conversation flowed naturally. Michael shared hesitantly at first his story with Jack and Sarah's departure. He wasn't used to talking about his personal life with strangers, but he felt an immediate connection with Emily, as if she understood the depth of his pain without him needing to explain. Emily, in turn, listened attentively, offering a word of comfort and, more than that, a friendly ear without judgment. The friendship between the two quickly strengthened. Emily began visiting Michael and Jack at home, bringing small gifts for the boy, like books and toys that could brighten his days. Jack, who initially missed his mother, soon grew fond of Emily, drawn to her sweetness and the genuine affection she showed. In no time, Jack started calling her Aunt Emily, and her presence brought a new light to the house. Over time, Michael and Emily began to develop deeper feelings. The friendship transformed into something more, something that, for Michael, seemed impossible at the beginning of his journey. He had lost hope of rebuilding his life, and much less of finding someone who would love not only him, but also his son. However, Emily was there, steadfast by his side, supporting him through every difficulty and celebrating every small progress in Jack's health. They shared not only love, but also faith and hope that one day Jack would be completely healed. Eventually, Emily's presence became a constant in Michael and Jack's lives. She was becoming, day by day, a motherly figure for the boy, caring for him with dedication and love. Michael knew that with Emily he had found a home, a peace he hadn't felt in a long time. And Jack, over time, seemed to improve. His symptoms gradually diminished, and the doctors began to be surprised by the slow but steady recovery he was showing. Michael and Emily continued to pray together, trusting that this healing was a blessing that came from their unwavering faith. One day, however, something unexpected happened. Sarah, Michael's ex-wife, appeared at his doorstep. She had changed, with an expression of regret and sadness. Sarah told Michael that after leaving the family, she realized her life had lost its meaning. She was deeply remorseful and wanted to come home, to be with Michael and Jack again. Michael felt a mix of emotions upon seeing Sarah back. He remembered the happy moments they had shared together, but also the pain her departure had caused him and Jack. He felt confused and torn, as he had rebuilt his life alongside Emily, a woman who loved him and had become a pillar for him and his son. Sarah, with tears in her eyes, asked for forgiveness and said she was ready to be part of that family again. However, Michael knew it wasn't a simple decision. He was no longer the same man he had been before, and had found in Emily a sincere and true love, someone who had stood by him in the toughest moments and helped him rebuild his life. Michael looked at Jack and saw how much the boy had grown attached to Emily. The affection between them was evident, and Jack, with his child's innocence, knew how much Emily meant to his father and to himself. Even with Sarah's presence there, Jack held Emily's hand, making it clear to Michael who he saw as the maternal figure in his life. After a long moment of reflection and silent prayer, Michael turned to Sarah and explained that although he forgave her for her past decision, his life had changed. He was no longer the man she had left, and he had found a new love that sustained his faith and hope, even in the darkest moments. Sarah listened, feeling the pain of rejection, but also the understanding that her path was no longer the same as Michael and Jack's. Sarah, with one last look of sadness, said goodbye, taking with her regret, but also a kind of peace knowing that Michael and Jack were well, surrounded by love and hope. Michael stood by Emily and his son, grateful for every step of the journey, and with a heart at peace knowing that he had found, at the end of all trials, the true meaning of family and love.